Hello, I'm Alexthehunted, and we're continuing Godzilla month. Today we are moving away from the movies and taking a look at Godzilla's run in video games. So get your controller that isn't for the right game console that these games are on, and let's take a look at the video game. Okay, I won't be reviewing all the games that ever came out for two reasons. One, there are so many it won't be able to fit one video, and two, most of them are shit. So I'm sticking with the three games that came out in the 2000s. Starting with Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee was released in 2002 for the GameCube, and in 2003 for the original Xbox. Let's get started, shall we, with the story.
Attention, inhabitants of the planet you call Earth. We are the Vortac, alien invaders from a distant galaxy who possess an intellect and technology far superior to your own.
The story starts with the invasion of an alien race called the Vortac, and their plans to, you guessed it, take over the world.
Of course!
They've taken control of a load of monsters and released them across the world to cause rampage and untold destruction. It's up to your monster to save the world. And that's the story. It's as basic as it comes, but for a Godzilla game, you really don't care about the story. You just want the monsters kicking the crap out of each other. They're nothing to run home about, but they are interesting. Each monster has their own set of colours, and they look fleshed out, and as they should, bulky and large. As for the sound, the monsters have never sounded better. The monsters' roars sound so organic, and the noises of the punches making contact really do feel like they hurt. And also the music fills the void for the epic confrontation. The building destruction could be much better. You see, when a building got destroyed in the movies, they crumbled and sometimes they even exploded. What happens in the game? They wobble. And if you hit them enough, they fall down. Now this can and has been done so much better. I'll take you back to 2003's War of the Monsters. Now the building destruction was done so much better in this game. If you were knocked or you knocked another monster flying across the arena, and it hit a building, they would either be knocked down and fall to the ground, or they would just crumble and they could use the remains as weapons. The building destruction for this game feels a bit like an afterthought. And that's a shame, because for giant monsters beating the crap out of each other, you want to feel some satisfaction when you knock a building down. But apart from that, the presentation is pretty good. Now this is the part the fighting game has to get right. A fighting game that doesn't control well is pointless. And for the most part, this game does it very well. Most of the monsters have their own set of unique skills and moves. And there's a great deal of variety. However, I said most of the monsters have their own set of skills. You see, in this game, you unlock new monsters by completing the story as another monster. Like if you play as the 90s Godzilla, you unlock the 2000 Godzilla. But they both have exactly the same moveset. So really, you're not unlocking a new monster, you're just unlocking a new character skin. And that just feels like a bit of a cop-out. If you're going to have different fighters, at least put the effort in it to make them actually act and feel like different fighters. I will say though that some of the moves feel so heavy and so hard that at times you knock a monster all the way across the map and it just feels so satisfying. Speaking of maps, they're pretty basic really, they're just a selection of buildings. And at times they feel very small, which again you shouldn't feel when you're a giant monster fighting. However, I will say the boxing ring map is genius. There are a great amount of different game types. Of course you have career mode and versus mode, but you also have a four-way melee and destruction mode and survival mode. However, for the melee mode, it's not last man standing, it's more of a point scoring system, and it just doesn't feel right. Apart from that, this is a good game. It's close to being great, but there are too many little niggles to make it a great game. But you should add it to your GameCube collection at least. Now let's move on to... Godzilla Save the Earth was released in late 2004 for the Xbox and PlayStation 2, and I believe it was the most successful Godzilla game to ever come out. So let's dig in.
Fly, my pretties. Find the two cells and bring them to me. Destroy everything in your path if that's what it takes.
Let's start with this game's amazing opening.
Godzilla!
That's just awesome. The story is basically exactly the same as the last game. The Vortak are invading again, but this time they brought their queen along to make sure things go well. She wants Godzilla's cells that Earth scientists have extracted for some reason, so she can create the world's greatest monster, and you guessed it, take over the world.
Of course!
And that's your story. Next. The presentation really differs on which version you get. The Xbox version is really good and you can see each monster's scales, and the robots actually look like robots and have that metal shine to them. As for the PlayStation 2 version, you can clearly tell they were limited. Most of the monsters look very dull in colour and there's really not much imagination, and look, act and sound like robots. The building destruction is exactly the same as the last game, which is a shame because for a new game you would want them to add new things, so this just comes off of them being lazy. The arenas are much bigger than last time, but there's one thing that lets them down. That goddamn arena barrier. It is so damn annoying. Every time you get close to it, it forces you away and it completely destroys any combo you are having. Just take a look at this. It is so damn annoying! Speaking of annoying, the worst thing about this game are those damn tanks. Every time they fire on you, they stop whatever you are doing. You're holding a building, it falls on top of you. You're in the middle of performing a move, it stops. And it happens over and over and over and over and over and over until you just can't take anymore. And they're so damn annoying. And the worst thing is, you can't turn them off. Why can't I turn them off? I just want to play a fighting game where I'm not constantly bombarded by something that stops everything I'm doing. Why is it so hard to do this? Why can't I just turn them off? Why?